Hi, reading friends. Welcome. It's good to see you today. Today we are starting lesson 7 on informational text. And today we're going to hone in just a little bit on text evidence. So finding the evidence in the text so that we can ask and answer questions. Let's go ahead and jump in, develop our schema a little bit, and watch this very short video about text evidence.
Joey, I had too much homework to go to the volleyball game last
Pretty funny, pretty funny.
Joey, I had too much homework.
All right. So they used the school paper to help answer the questions that they had about the volleyball game. So today for our learning target, it says I can find key details in a text so I can ask and answer such questions as who, what, when, where, why, and how. I will know I have it when I can use text evidence to answer a question. Now, there are a lot of things you can do with text evidence, but what we have been doing lately is we have been going back into the text and finding the answer and then copying or writing that on our answer sheet. So there are different ways of learning about text evidence. And today we're going to use another way where we can mark some of the text evidence in our passage, but we're still looking for those answers in the passage and we are still marking those. In order to be successful today on your learning target, you are going to need to be able to use text evidence to answer your question. So that means you're going back into the passage and you're actually highlighting, underlining, or marking the answer in the text. So not just enough to write the answer on your paper, but actually going back and finding the answer in the text and underlining that is part of that as well. All right, so let's go ahead and jump in with using text evidence. So let's find the answer. It says text evidence is when you find the answer to a question in the text. We have been doing this by underlining or highlighting the answer. Also, this week we've been talking about taking notes on important parts of the text. Some text evidence will be right there. I can answer the question. I see the answer right there in the passage. I highlight it. I write the answer onto my answer sheet. But there may also be times when you have to infer the answer. And what that means is, based on the passage, you are inferring information that they're not specifically saying, but that you can find the evidence for. And I'm going to show you an example of that in just a little bit. All right, using text evidence. So it says good readers take notes and they mark up the text while reading nonfiction in order to find text evidence for their ideas. And it shows you right here how they are highlighting parts of the passage. Yesterday, I also talked about, or a day before yesterday, I talked about always highlighting those bold words. Those are the vocabulary words that they want you to know, and highlighting the whole sentence that has that bold word in there so you can figure out what it means. Some sentence starters for citing text evidence could be, the author said, and then you write the answer that you found. This one I think a lot of kids have used in the past, and it is according to the text, it said, and then you tell me what it said. Or you could use this one that says, in the text, it said, and then you write what it said in the text. There are some other suggestions on how to start those sentences, such as on page 2, it said, and then you write what you highlighted. Over here it says, from the reading, I know, and then you write what you found from the reading. So this is a really good test taking strategy as well, looking at the question and going back and marking the answer. Another poster that I want us to look at has a passage, that we're going to read. And then this is also going to be helping us infer and looking at the difference between a right there question or answer and inferring. So let's jump in. Let me read this to you. It's probably hard to see because it's small on the screen. But it says, Jace and his mom were standing at gate 2, waiting for his cousin Carrie to exit the airplane. Jace bit his lip. He and Carrie had been inseparable when they were younger, but then Carrie moved across the country and they haven't seen each other in 2 years. Jace wondered if they would have anything at all in common now. So the first question says, how do Jace and Carrie know each other? Well, in the passage, it's right there. It says that Jace and Carrie were waiting for his cousin Carrie at the exit of the airplane. So according to the text, using one of those sentence starters right here, according to the text, Jace and Carrie are related to each other. They are cousins. So that's the answer to that question. Now let's look over here at how does Jace feel? This is going to be an inference. You're going to have to infer from the text clues because it doesn't come right out and say Jace is feeling blank. So we have to use the clues to determine how he feels. And right here it says Carrie's moved across the country. They haven't seen each other in 2 years. Jace wondered if they would have anything at all in common now. So the answer says, I think Jace feels nervous because he bit his lip and he's wondering if he will have anything in common with Carrie. So that's how we can infer from the text evidence that it gives us. Today, we are going to take a look at a nonfiction passage about dinosaur fossils. And you can see from the picture that they are excavating, which means digging out the dinosaur fossils. The scientists are looking for the dinosaur fossils. You may have been to the museum or been to a park where you have seen dinosaur fossils as well. So let's go ahead and jump in. Now, you have this passage on a piece of paper that your teacher or helper is going to pass out to you right now. And as they're passing that out, I want you to look at the picture as well as the passage. Now, there are a lot of big words in this passage, but I don't want you to worry because I'm going to read it to you and we're going to work through it together because with guided practice, as you know, that's when we do it together and we talk together and we mark things together and we work it out. So this is not independent. You don't have to read this by yourself. If your teacher has not finished passing out your papers, or you do not have your paper yet, feel free to pause the video and let everyone get their paper and get settled and ready to start. Also, before we start, you are going to need not just your highlighter and pencil, but you're going to need your crayons. So if you need to pause a second and get those ready as well, you may do that. But that will be when we finish the passage. You're going to need your crayons to use as highlighters. All right, so let's go ahead and start reading. This passage is called Excavating Dinosaur Fossils. There are scientists who study dinosaur fossils. They are called paleontologists, and they practice paleontology. This is a branch of science that will dig and study these ancient fossils. So paleontology is a branch of science where they will study and dig up fossils. It is long and difficult process. They can dig for an extended amount of time without finding anything. When they do find fossils while digging, they have to be very careful. They will use tiny tools to clear the soil around the fossils they have found. Once the fossil is uncovered, they carefully collect each piece and they take it back to the lab to learn more about the dinosaur they found. They can learn the age of the dinosaur fossil, what animal it came from, and other facts about the animal whose fossil it is. So now, attached to your second page or attached to your packet, you have this page and it has some questions on it with colors. So this is where your crayons are going to be helpful for you. So the first question says, using your red crayon to highlight who studies dinosaur fossils. So who do we know studies dinosaur fossils? You're right. So we are going to, in our red, mark paleontologists. We don't have to write it just yet. We just have to mark it in red. All right, so now let's go to the second one, and it says in orange, use your orange crayon to highlight what paleontology is. So now we need to highlight what is paleontology with orange. So let's go back up. Sorry. Trying to use my crayons too. And let's highlight what is paleontology. It says this is a branch of science that will dig and study ancient fossils. There we go. So you have marked and highlighted that with